Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy we are here. Yeah. So we're gonna have people coming through who are running late. But I'm glad you are making time, so that's good. We expected the room to be at least about 40 people, so on my side. So let's just wait for people also to just join. But we are also recording. Just remember, we will back up the recording on YouTube. Let me just check in with everyone. How are you guys doing? Please unmute or raise a hand, whatever that you feel most comfortable with. There is no one who wants to say anything. How? Hey, Lindy, hi. Let me start with you. Oh, Mpho's hand is up. Okay, Mpho, come through.
Good afternoon, fellow Fundready colleagues. Well, I'm feeling tired this afternoon. I don't know if it's just today or it's that time of the year where the body can just see the finishing line and it just wants to give up. I don't know.
I think it's in the air. We are cases like a flu. We're all feeling it. But guess what,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs? The bank account is not sorted. Until the bank account is sorted, we cannot be thinking we're gonna have holidays. So
Yeah. Yes, but on the positive side, I participated in a pitch contest yesterday and won 100,000, but there's some improvement still to make.
You know what? Oh, that is so good. 100,000. You know, Mpho, to raise 100,000 is the same as raising 100 million. Do you understand that?
No.
Yes. It's the same principle.
Why do you say this? Oh,
it's
the principle.
Principle.
Okay.
If you get the principle when it's 100,000, you will also get the principle when it's 100 million.
I get it.
So, yeah, congratulations. And I think Paul also won some money. Paul, how much did you win? Paul, where's Paul? Freshmore, Paul, that's who I'm asking. Let me ask him to unmute. Congratulations, Paul. What are you going to do with the 100,000?
Well, I haven't thought about it, but I'll think of something before it gets here.
Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. Okay, Paul is saying he didn't win, but you were close. I think you were in the top. From what I heard from the guys from NYDA, you're in the top 5, Paul, right? Okay, Paul seems he can't talk, but he's typing. Okay, great. Thank you for, we love good news. Just remember what I've said, Mpho. Kulego, please come through. We're checking in, ladies and gentlemen. Salvin is here. Hello.
Hi, Precious.
Hi.
Hi, Kulego. Please come through, and then we move to Ayanda.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to ask something, Precious. I'm participating in a pitching contest tomorrow. Are there any tips maybe that you can give me for tomorrow's pitch?
Did you go through the last session that we had?
Yeah, I was part of the last session.
Yes. Did you implement those 10 points that I shared with you guys?
No, not yet. I'll check on the group.
I will need you to implement those 10 points. They're still on the WhatsApp group. Implement those 10 points and then share the pitch with me. Try to share it as a PDF so that I can be able, because I'm general on the road, I'm not on emails.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, but we need to do that today, because if you are pitching tomorrow.
Yes, I'll send it to you today still.
Perfect, great, thank you so much. Let me not steal time from Profit Share. Please come. Oh, there's 2 more hands. Is it fine if we deal with the hands afterwards, Lou? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're all yours. We're expecting about 35 to 40 people, but we've got about 30 now. Or should I? Yeah, about 31. There's still more people joining. They're running late, but we are recording the session, so it's not a loss. Please go ahead. Sylvan, we're just discussing this week. Last week we were discussing the pitching. This week we're talking about, now they have said yes, how do you approach the negotiation table, and what are the things to watch out for? And you are the expert. Let you speak. Introduce yourself, please, because I forgot to actually go through your CV on LinkedIn, and it's always awkward to actually just introduce yourself. I know, but please try.
Yeah, sure. Okay, just before I introduce myself, I'll just go through what we're going to discuss today, and I'll do that introduction a little bit later. So just to give you an overview, I think the topic is about negotiations and deal structure, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. So I would like to tell you guys about 3 stories, right? 2 of which happened to a consultant called Erin Mayer. She wrote a book about culture mapping, all right? I'll discuss 2 of these elements that's discussed in these books. There's many more, but I'll just concentrate on 2 points, which I think is important when communicating with people, all right? So the first story I'd like to tell is about a Chinese person, right, who had a manufacturing plant in China, and he was a product expert. And he was invited to the UK to hear about a new product development and give his feedback, So he studied up on all that he thought he would be asked on, and he went for the meeting, okay? So it was a very detailed meeting, and the British person asked at the end of the meeting if there was any questions. So there were a few of the people in the room that put up their hands, asked a few questions, but the Chinese person did not raise his hand. But when the Chinese person was walking out of the room, he overheard one British person say to the other that this Chinese person clearly did not have any objections, but in his mind, he actually did. All right, I'm going to leave that story there for now. The second story I would like to tell you about is from a person from Netherlands, right? So this consultant also, sorry? No, okay. So this consultant had a person from Netherlands join up a work farm in the United States, right? And like with the United States, like with any job, there's also job performance reviews, right? And when the consultant asked the US boss, how is this person performing, right? The boss said it's very bad, it's a very negative reviews. So the consultant decided to call this person from the Netherlands and ask them how did their performance review go? And that person said, no, it was the best review they had in their life, right? So these are some of the elements I would like to talk about, especially when it comes to communication, right? Because I think communication is one of the important points when it comes to negotiation, right? So a quick introduction on myself. My name is Silva Munyapan. I work for a company called Profit Share Partners, right? Profit Share Partners funds SMEs that have any purchase order contract. We do import finance. If you have let's say, for example, the PO is from a large corporate or government entity, we'll be able to fund you, All right. I have a MBA with a double specialization in AI and hyperconnectivity. I also have a Master of Science in Digital Transformation. I have over 25 years experience in the finance industry, right? And I think the past 8 to 10 years working closely with SMEs, right? So from the stories I mentioned, right? I know it doesn't look like I'm speaking about negotiations, but it's always about, the story is about communication between different cultures and people of different backgrounds, right? And communication is one of the key elements to a successful negotiation, right? So one of the elements that I would like to discuss is low context versus high context communication, all right? Low context communication is when a person details everything they want you to know. So there's no hidden message, okay? So the person will detail every single point, bullet point, and it's like, oh, it'll be a very long email, all right? As a person, as opposed to a person that has a high context culture, right? They will speak to you, but there's like a hidden message in that. Like, for example, a person with low context, right, will say, I'm sorry, I cannot do that, right? Where a person with a high context culture will say, you know what, I'll think about doing it, right? So a person with a high context culture, you'll have to read the air or the person's body language to see what they are talking about, okay? So coming back to the Chinese person, right? So he comes from a high context culture, right? And people with the high context culture background do not usually put up their hands in meetings, right? They like to be called upon. So if a person's sitting in the chair, they like to say, do you have a question? And then they'll say, thank you for recognizing me, and then they will speak, all right? So now, how do you know when to call upon a person that has a, with this type of personality, right? So people high context culture, right, usually do not make eye contact with you directly. If they have something to say, right, they will look at you intently. They'll hold your gaze. They want to gain your attention. Okay. So in the first story, if the British person who was leading the meeting knew about this, he could have called upon the Chinese person up front, and he would have given valuable feedback on the subject matter. Okay. So also, if a low context person is giving details, in-depth details to a person that's from a high context background, right? The person with the high context background might feel insulted, or think that the other person might think they're a little bit on the dumb side, because they're giving so much details. It's almost like embarrassing for them. But you must understand it's two different cultures coming to play. So you need to know these things, where one person might find it degrading, the other person is saying, you know what, I want to give you all this information so you understand where I'm coming from. Okay. The next element I want to discuss is direct and indirect negative feedback, right? So some cultures, like people from the Netherlands, Germany, places like in Europe, they give very direct negative feedback, right? They will focus on what is wrong and tell you up front, right? As opposed to a person with indirect feedback. For example, like the American cultures, they will probably give you 2 or 3 positive feedbacks before giving you a negative, okay? So you can see how the second story fits in here. So the person from the Netherlands, who is so used to getting direct negative feedback all the time, will focus on all the positive the American boss would have probably given her in the interview. So There's positive, 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 and only one negative, right? So, 4 out of 5 ain't that bad. So in her mind, she's doing great. While in the American boss's mind, right, this person needs to improve on that one point, right? So just put yourself in that position. So imagine that you are a person that's used to receiving indirect negative feedback, and you're working with someone whose culture is to give direct negative feedback, right? So you would find this person to be very aggressive, very arrogant, and there'll be an immediate dislike. While on the other person might think that you're very thin-skinned, right? Easily offended, and you don't take criticism well. So these two elements are not exclusive to a person's culture, right? It can also, their upbringing can also be affected, like, for example, where they're schooled. So if they're schooled abroad, like for a South African goes abroad, and they are exposed to this direct negative culture, so they might be used to that culture. So when it comes to understanding a person and how they communicate is very important in a negotiation, right? So if a person is giving you direct negative feedback, just remember it's the way they communicate, and it's got nothing to do about your performance, right? They're just giving you a lot of detail. So do not think that you are not getting the point, but they are trying to make sure that you understand or make you aware of the concerns they have, and it's their culture. So you cannot be too emotional when it comes to negotiations. So those are the two elements. If you want to have do more research on this, it's called culture mapping by Erin Mayer, right? So the next story I would like to tell you about is about an orange, right? So imagine a household with 2 sisters, right? And there's only one orange in this house, and both of them want this orange, okay? So there's a heated argument. After a long time, they come to an arrangement and decide to cut the orange in half. So you think everybody wins, right? But not actually, right? So the first sister wanted orange juice. So now, because they cut the orange in half, she had to settle for half glass of juice. While the second sister wanted to bake a cake and needed the orange zest for the cake. Now she has to make a cake with half a zest, which is probably not as tasteful as a full zest of orange. Now, neither of them are satisfied. But if only one of them asked why, or what do you need this orange for? The first sister could have ended up with a glass full of orange juice, and the second sister would have ended up with a better tasting cake. I see. So when it comes to negotiating, it's very important to ask why. And the most important rule is to shut up and listen. If you are talking, you are not listening, right? You need to read the air. See if there's a hidden meaning in the message the person is trying to tell you. Read the person's body language and ask questions like why. Okay? So when you go into a meeting, right, it's best that you understand what your best scenarios are. Okay? You also need to know what BATNA is and WHATNA. Okay? BATNA stands for the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Okay? And WHATNA is the worst alternative to a negotiated agreement. Right? So WHATNA is what happens when negotiation fails. So to give you an example of BETNA, right? So imagine that you want to buy a car, right? And this car, you see it online and it's worth 100,000. But then you do some more research and you find another similar car. And you say, okay, fine, this car could be worth 85,000, right? So you approach the seller and you tell him, you know what, I want to offer you 85,000 for this car. If the seller does not go below that 85,000, then your best alternative is that car of 85,000. So when you're going into a negotiation, you need to know what is the best price that you're going to offer or get, and what is an alternative to that negotiation. Now, with whatnot, which is the worst possible outcome, because that's when the negotiation fails, is like, for example, when a company, right, they want a lower price on a product, but you know that no one else in the market can supply this product. So you can charge a higher price if you want to. So the company can either accept that higher pricing, or they will not have a product to sell. But I say this is the worst case scenario, because with this case, if the guy offers to pay the higher price, then it's actually leading to a business and a negative relationship, which is not what you want. So when you negotiate, you need to know what your BETNA is and what your WHATNA is. And also be prepared to say no, right? Because a bad deal is when it's still a bad deal, right? You are making a loss. So how much more products and business you have to write to cover that loss, right? So sometimes it is best to walk away from the negotiation table, right? But that does not mean you say no and walk away, right? So don't be afraid to ask why this person wants for you to sell a product at that price, because you are making a loss. Maybe they did a pricing to a customer and there's an influx in that pricing, and now they cannot supply the goods, or because that product is at a higher price. And if they don't supply these goods, they could lose a customer, right? So you can tell them, you know, this deal is not viable for you, right? But you could help them if you can get more orders, you know, to cover the loss of this delivery and to make a little bit of profit for yourself. Okay. So it's important to know when to say no, right? So when it comes to negotiation, right, I also like using a marketing department's technique where they create buyers personas, right? So marketing uses the various demographics, right, to create various personas, right, for their target market. Okay, so you could have a person that, how can I say, that is young, person that is old, right, and people in between, what they like or dislike about the product, you know. So the personas can be like age, language, education, income levels, how they prefer to communicate, right? For example, Gen X, they like shopping and browsing Facebook a lot, all right? As opposed to the younger generation, right? They like to use things like Instagram and TikTok. Now you can extend this buyer's personas to also include communication, okay? So you can add like the tone of the message that you want to put across to the person you're negotiating with, and also the communication type. whether it's over email or face to face, you know, and what you need to put across, you know. For example, this person is very technical, or they do not like too much technical details, but they like to solve the need of the issue, right? So there's a lot of communication details, and that will help you negotiate, right? Which I think is quite important. So before I go on to deal structuring, is there anything else that anybody wants to ask me about the section?
Sure. I'm so blown away. I like literally. I feel like I've just had my coffee.
Okay.
Some of the stuff that you mentioned, I didn't think, when you didn't think about certain things that way, and then almost like a veil on your eyes. And yeah, thank you. Let me take questions and not take the space. Allow entrepreneurs to ask questions. And Paul, please come through.
Yes, thanks, is precious. And thanks for that, Sullivan.
Yes, you're welcome.
As you were just relating your stories, I was laughing because I could identify with one or two of what you mentioned. Sure. What I wanted to ask is, for example,
sorry, before you ask me, what sections were you laughing at? So like everybody can understand, for the whole room, if you don't mind.
Yes. Yeah. The direct and indirect communication styles. And which is the question that I have. I mean, what you said about 4 comments bad, good, and 1 comment bad. Somebody will think, oh no, 4 out of 5, that wasn't bad. But they could not read the body language of the other person who is an indirect communicator, who actually felt very bad about that one thing. Now, if I am a co-founder, both of us we read different things. So this happened to me about 2 weeks ago. We went into a meeting and we pitched something, and the audience on the other side, they mentioned a few good things and they mentioned one bad thing. And in my understanding, that was a deal breaker. And we needed to work on that. And my partner, when we left the room, he was happy. And he said, hey, did you hear? Those guys, I think they liked us. And I'm like, no, man, you could not read the room. That one thing is a deal breaker. These other things they mentioned, so that maybe, we don't have to feel bad about exactly having to drive 2 hours to go to them, and they just give you one terrible thing. So the audience I think there was an indirect communicator. So my question is, if you have somebody who is like a co-founder who doesn't see that, how do you make them understand that this is a communication style, and how to interpret that those other positive comments mean nothing? They should just focus on that one bad thing that needs to be fixed. How do you communicate them without making it as if it's your own opinion, where somebody could say, no, but you could be wrong as well. You did not read the room correctly.
No, I understand where you're coming from. It is a difficult question to answer. Okay.
Yes.
But I'm glad you picked up on that. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing about South Africa is it's an extremely diverse culture, right?
Yeah.
So where I think also in the Black community, it's a very high context culture. You have to read in between the lines, and also I think in the high context culture, they do not like embarrassing a person. So they'll never tell you up front, what's wrong. They go a roundabout way of saying things, right?
Yeah.
So with your partner, I think the best way of doing it is doing research, try to find the culture map of South Africa, right? And I did this some time ago, and I have to put everything in the middle. Okay, because you get the Black community, which is very high context culture, and you get the white community, which is a very low context culture, right? You get people like the British, also in the white space, that is very will give you indirect negative feedback, but you get somebody from the German side will give you direct negative feedback. You see, so. For you and your partner, right, all you have to do is do some research, watch some YouTube videos and about this. All you do is educate yourselves, right? How to deal with the different cultures in South Africa. You know, it's not an easy space, right? I know with me, when I was a banker, I had to learn on the go, you know, so because I had to look at a person, right, to see if they want to ask a question or not. You know, it's reading the body language. That's when I learned that if a person looks at you intently and they're trying to grab your attention, then they have something to say. You know, other people will put their hand up, and yeah, that'll be it. But I think it's more about education than just telling somebody, because they might say, you know what, you're making things up. But if you do some research and say, you know, this is what I found out, and this is what we need to do, you know, and then formulate a strategy around that. Okay.
Thanks.
Cool. I hope I helped. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
Nobody else. I don't see any hands. Samuel, please
Okay.
mute yourself. I'm gonna need to remove you if you can't mute yourself. Okay, I'm gonna need to remove him.
Okay, great. So the next issue is deal structuring, you know, and I can't, it's a huge, how can I say, field, right? So I'm gonna try and keep it short and give you a very high overview, okay? Because deal structuring depends on your industry, okay? So your industry might have in-depth details, which is like a standard, or they might just have an overview of the product that you're selling, okay? So when you're doing a deal structure, it is important to know the person you are dealing with, right? So like, do they use technical jargon? Are they high context, low context? What type of communication method they like, you know? Most people these days use emails, okay? But with emerging technologies, for example, like the metaverse, right? In future, people might be communicating in VR, right? Or they might like to be kept informed via WhatsApp, right? So either text or voice notes, right? So I know back in the day, everybody used to do text. Now I see everybody is doing voice notes or WhatsApp, okay? So there is like a shift in how people communicate, right? Me personally, I like sending out emails when it comes to business, right? But a young upcoming entrepreneur, he might be using WhatsApp all the time because he's on the go and he's got no time to sit and read emails. Whilst he's driving, he can listen to a voice note or something, right? So here again, it's very important to understand your target audience. So this is where also creating buyer personas comes into effect, right? And buyer personas can vary, you know. It can be, for example, you can create one for your ideal client, you know. You can create one for your adverse client, you know, the client that doesn't like your product or something, and how you can deal with it, you know. Because in this day and age, a lot of people leave product reviews on the website, especially if you're having an e-commerce site, you know, because that's the way of digital transformation that's happening. Everybody's going digital. It's important to have a way, a communication style and method and the tone to address issues, right? Because some people just want to vent, but if you respond to them, you know, they might come back and say, oh, this person responded, great. You don't have to refund the product, you know, you can just give them a value added service. And that could actually please them, you know, and make them come back because okay, say products are just gone beyond pricing. It also comes down to service, after sales service. And if you have a query, you answer promptly, and so on. So it's quite important to create these personas. Like, for example, another one would be a tech adverse person. So a person that's what's older than Gen X, baby boomers. You know, they could be tech adverse. You know, so you don't want to lose their business. Maybe it's, I don't know how big of a segment it is in your business, but maybe there could be a big segment. So you need to know how to handle them when it comes to technology. You know, do you give them, have somebody from customer service walk them through the process or something? So it's very, very important. I cannot stress it enough to create these personas and how you deal with them. Okay. So when it comes to writing deal structures, right? I know a lot of people use Word formats, right? Please use clear fonts. Do not use anything fancy, right? Because sometimes with the fancy fonts, a person can misread it, and sometimes it might not look professional, right? And when you're using Word documents, especially when it comes to a deal structure, when you are tabulating you know, the price, I mean, the description, the quantity, and the price. I know a lot of people will tab across, you know, or use lines. But you must understand that not everybody's laptop or settings on the Word document is the same. Some person might be using a Windows PC, somebody might be using a Mac PC, all right? So, or they might be using an older version of Windows or a newer version than you. So when this document opens up, everything can be misaligned, okay? It can make everything difficult to understand and make it impossible to read. So use nice tables and columns, you know, to tabulate the pricing and things, okay? So also in the document, I think what is also important is to understand lead times, all right? So if you are buying from someone and you're supplying to your customer, you should mention what the price is and also what the stock availability is. You know, is both subject to change. Okay. For example, if you have stock and it's a manufacturing company and you quote, but in 5 days later, this guy, because you not put a deposit or something, that stock might be sold. And now there's a 14-day lead time for you to that. And then your customer might be angry because you're not delivering on time. Okay. So it's important to note all of these little things, right? And even if you are importing goods, you need to understand the Incoterms, right? Like what is X works and CIF, that sort of thing, you know. So also if you are importing, I've came across a few, and when dealing with SMEs, not all of them know that you need an importer's code. So you need to do that in advance. If you know you are going to import something, go to SARS, say that you are importing, get an importer's code, because that can also hold up your process, right? And also tell your customer that because you are importing the goods, this price, you can hold this price for X amount of time. And it's all dependent on the Forex exchange rate, and it might change, right? Because if it does change and your customer is not willing to pay that new price, you are going to make a loss, right? The goods will land here, the customer will cancel the order, then you have something that you may or may not be able to sell fast, right? So it's important to manage your customers' expectations, right? When I was at the bank, we should have something called under promise and over deliver. Okay, so if you know in your business that it takes 3 days to get a product, you tell your client, you know what, I'll get it to you in 5 days, right? But you make sure you get get it to him in 3, right? So that's like outstanding service. But it also gives you a little bit of leeway if something has to go wrong. So it gives you the time to fix the issue, right? So when it also comes to deal structuring, you have to know your market. You have to know your industry, right? So like most like supply and deliver, you could work on a 30% markup, right? So anything more, you might be pricing yourself out. Anything less, you can actually be damaging your business. You might be getting the order, but you're not growing as fast as you need to. You won't be able to service your OPEX, all your expenses. So it's important to be at the right place. If somebody is going undercutting you, you just need to be careful how low you can go, because there is a point where it's not viable for you or your business. As I said before, you have to know when to say no. Right now, this 30% markup will be extremely high if you are within the FMCG space. FMCG is that fast-moving consumable goods, right? In that space, there's a very small markup. It's like between 3 to 5%. That's mainly because there's extremely high volumes. So you need to know your market, right? So when it comes to deal structuring, right, work on a template. So create a nice template for yourself that you can keep on using, right? So you just have to put in the details that you need to, and then carry on from there, all right? Make sure everything is like subject to, stock changes, availability, and pricing, all right? So never put yourself in a position where you have to carry the costs of your client, of your customer, because then your business is making a loss and their business is going to grow. Okay, so I think that's it on my side. So any other questions?
Thank you so much, Sylvan. Entrepreneurs, I keep on seeing pause hand. I don't see people who normally have questions. I'm gonna ignore you a little bit and try to see if there's somebody else first to come through. Okay, Paul, you go ahead then. I still don't see the hand.
Yeah. Well, Leander has raised the hand, but I'll go as my mic is already on. Thanks again, Sylvan. I've got a comment and maybe a question.
Sure.
The comment maybe first. I agree with you about a simple document. For example, a document I was using yesterday, sending someone who's supposed to look at it. It was actually a pitch, and I used complex fonts, and they could not open it on the other side, and the messaging was lost as well. So I can attest to the document, as simple as possible, no huge megabytes. So I could attest to that. The second one is a question. I prefer to use email or maybe multiple communication streams. You mentioned that you like to write an email. Other types of audience might prefer another communication, but if you use multiple, like an email and a WhatsApp and a phone call for the same messaging, can it create a different perception on the other on your audience? Obviously, some people prefer to be spoken to, but in business, it's always best to put it on email. So I would call, after the call, I would say, as per our telecon 1, 2, 3, 4. Would the other person perceive it as lack of trust, or is it helpful, or one must know your audience and not over communicate? What's your view?
So there again, you have to know your audience, but that can only come in after a relationship has started. Or if you speak to the person, tell him your communication strategy. Tell him up front, I am going to send you, so after this call, I am going to send you an email just to confirm the details that we have spoken about, because then it's on record. So then the person understands or expects that communication from you, right? If you send an email, I don't think you have to send a WhatsApp or a voice note or, I don't know, a carrier pigeon. Okay, because sometimes a procurement manager is busy and he's receiving hundreds of other emails and stuff. He doesn't want to see his phone ringing. Say, have you received my email about the conversation we had, detailing the conversation we had earlier this morning? It becomes a waste of his time, and he can be irritated. And you know what? Sometimes he might say, you know what? I don't want to communicate with this person. Right. So if we have the meeting, right, if we have a telephonic communication with the guy, tell him in that message, tell him, you know what, I know we've spoken about this, but I am going to send you an email, right, just to confirm what we have spoken about. And if I've misunderstood or left out anything, just please respond, and leave it as that and carry on. Okay. That make sense?
No, makes sense. No, makes sense. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay.
Lou, and then Hughes.
Thank you so much. Hi, Salvin.
Hi.
So I think just to add on quickly to your response to Mpho, it also just depends on the context of your engagement with your stakeholders.
Correct. Yeah.
In certain instances, it's mandatory or necessary for you to put things on email just for record's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
And
correct.
also,
That's why I said to Impo that if just say in the telephonic communication that you are going to send an email, just to ensure that what we've spoken about is understood from both sides.
yeah,
And if you either misunderstood something or if I missed out something,
yeah,
So yes, it's very important to do that with an email, but it's nice to mention it in the phone call that you
yeah,
are going to send it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just going to add that it's also good for follow-up purposes because a lot of the time people do forget. I
Forget.
mean, we are
Yep.
human. So you
Yes,
want
you're
to
right.
have an email trail
Yeah.
in the event your stakeholder perhaps forgot or overlooked something or whatever the case may be. So that's my rule of thumb is just to always try and put things on email.
Nope,
But the
that's very
question
good. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but the question I wanted to ask is more around your services as profit share.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was keen to understand a little bit more about is around your contract financing. Is your contract
Sorry, let me answer if anybody else has questions about the subject. I
okay,
am
sorry.
here for a little bit later, so I think if nobody else has any other questions, I'll be glad to tell you about our services and stuff. Okay?
Okay, all right, thanks.
Great, thank you. So anybody else that has any questions about negotiation and deal structuring, then I can go on to Lou.
Yes, I
I
actually had a
just
few questions.
adding
Oh,
on.
sorry. Sorry, who's talking now?
Oh, it seems like it's two people talking. I didn't see the hand when I started speaking. Is there someone? Oh, it's Hughes. Please, P. Hughes. I'm not sure who's that. Is that Pindel?
Um,
Please, Pindel, come through if it's you. Okay. It seemed like she's not coming through. I'm not sure why. Pindula,
Okay.
just try again, and then I will then go ahead with my questions. So I think the biggest challenge which I have observed is that entrepreneurs sometimes, when they are going to the negotiation table, they are already thinking that they are at the receiving end of the transaction.
So when you say receiving end, could you please clarify that for me, please? Like receiving as in bad or?
No, see, taking it as though they will, whatever that is being offered to them, they will need to say yes to.
Oh,
They
okay.
will see
Yes, yes,
themselves as an equal
yeah.
partner into the transaction.
Okay. All right.
As a
So, yeah.
result, as a result, then they are not coming to the party to say, that is what we have, what are you saying, and have almost like a discussion of back and forth on how do you see this, and just be open also, not to be sticking with your gun if it was a debt equity and at a certain percentage, and then now they are saying something else. So I think the mindset of thinking that as much as you are looking for funding, for support, for someone to provide you with that, whatever, even if it's a contract, you should never go to that table, that negotiation table, with the mindset that you are begging or you are asking for things. You
Yeah,
as
great.
much.
So I think when you're entrepreneur, you'll probably want to say yes to everything. Okay. Because you do not want to disappoint or give the impression that you don't want to help, or like if you say no, you're never ever going to get a response, right? So one of the entrepreneurs that I used to chat with, right, he learned to say no, okay, because there was a point where, you know, I think he decided to have a printing shop, but he bought a printer, but you only used to print like 1 or 2 pages a day and make a couple, rand, and he was making a loss, right? So there was a point where he had to decide to close, right, and start a different business, right? Your job as an entrepreneur, remember, you're running a business, okay? Saying yes to everything can be harmful to you and your business. Because if you keep on saying yes, right, and there comes at one time where you're supposed to deliver and you don't, that could hurt you more than saying no. Okay. If you say no, you can tell the person why you're saying no. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm not going to do this. You know, it said, you can tell them, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. But this transaction is not viable for me, right? It's not a mutually beneficial arrangement, okay? Because that's what business is. It's supposed to be a mutual beneficial arrangement where the person is going to buy something from you to make a product and sell on. He's going to make a profit, and he's buying it from you because you're also making a profit as well. You see? So you must have the mindset of saying no. Okay. I hope that addresses your question.
Yes, thank you. Definitely. Okay. Entrepreneurs, do you have any questions or comment? How did you find the material? Do you have questions on the content that we have provided? After this lecture, by the way, Selvin, there's going to be updating of the training manual. With all the notes we got, I was like, okay, this is higher grade now.
I'm glad I could help.
Definitely. There is a comment that was made by Paul. Paul is probably in the noisy area, so I will read the comment from him.
Sure.
Okay, so the comment is saying, okay, he was just sharing up his experience. He's saying that I personally had some occasions where there was an autocorrect and I corrected my emails addresses where I was copied or pasted, then believed I sent to them or to the correct address. I found it was never sent. Or the solution will be constantly follow up. If all emails and documents actually got received and was accepted or denied, never even open or never even received. That was his experience. I think that is Mr. Williams' Grattan. Okay.
Yeah, I would say don't send too many follow-ups. Send one or two via email. And then if you're still not having a follow-up, then call the person. Okay. Because you don't know what issues they are having. You know, they could have just been busy and never got to the email, right? And if they say, no, I never received your email, then you say, okay, fine, I'll send it again. And that's where you could see where you have messed up, right? But yeah, it all depends on you and the person as the target audience, you know, what you want to do. Because yes, you can follow up, but don't send too many. Don't send SMSs every half an hour or something. Okay. I see two hands up here.
Yes, I'll start with Luanda. Lu?
Yes, sorry, I just realized something. I have an active scenario that I'd like to get some input on. So there's a corporate client that I've been engaging since the beginning of the year. This
Right.
corporate client has two interests. One, on the one hand, they have an interest to procure services from my business. And the contract that they are interested in providing me is likely to be around a 3-year contract based on the scope of work that they've already outlined to me verbally. Because I met with the CEO, the executive for the division, and the HR, the head of HR. So, and then the other aspect is that they also have a keen interest in providing investment finance of some sort, because one of the products that I am trying to put into production, they would like to be like an investor or actively involved in that. I'm in the
That's
film and
nice.
entertainment business,
All right.
so their keen interest is a production that I want, a project that I want to take to production.
Okay.
Now, I've been engaging these people since I would say around February. I was able to get their attention because of my minimum viable product that is now currently in market, right?
Right.
I'm not generating a revenue yet at the stage because I'm still at startup level, even though I'm at MVP stage. Now, where I'm not sure in terms of how to move is they've given me a letter of intent to basically
Right.
say to solidify their interest, right, in terms of
Right.
procuring my services. They've
Right.
also verbally given me an indication of how much they might be willing to invest in it, because they've seen the quotations that I've received from my suppliers to secure equipment and assets. I've pitched to them as well. So I've taken them through my financial forecast and everything.
Right.
I think where I'm stuck on is, how do I get things moving? Because tomorrow I'm meeting with the CEO. And
Right.
this is going to be our first physical meeting because I've been engaging them online throughout the year and
Right.
telephonically. I think I'm in a position where I don't know how to move because
Right.
I feel like I have, put out everything that I've communicated, right? What I'm looking for, what do I need, what support I'm looking for. They've already indicated interest. I think now I just need to know, how do I turn the discussions and the negotiations that we've been having into
Right.
something that is solid and which will turn into a contract? How do I move
Oof.
now into that space? Because that is
That
where, for
mm,
me,
mm,
that is the challenge now.
no, that is a big challenge. Because I know the film industry, they do not do anything in a hurry, right? To make a film, sometimes it takes about 3 to 5 years, depending on how long it is, right? So it all depends on the industry, how fast they do things, right? So for me, when it comes in the finance sector, right, letter of intent and verbal communication is not a contract, right? Um, I can give letter of intent to everybody. Say, yeah, I intend to do business with you, like 5 million rand a month, but it's not enforceable. It's not a purchase order. It's not a contract, right? So I think the first meeting with the CEO, right? I think that's quite important. They are trying to finalize what they want to do next year. Like even in the finance sector, right? When we also have investors and people that we administer funds on behalf on, right? Yes, people will say, yes, we want to give you these funds. Awesome, great. First month, awesome. And then there's a whole lot of due diligence process and legals and things. And I think it actually took us about 3 years before we actually finalized that first amount coming into our account to administer on their behalf. So all I can tell you is have that meeting, right? Tell the CEO these are your concerns, right? And when ask him for a timeline of when he thinks you are going to start with everything. Tell me you want to have a round table, an open discussion, and you as an SME, a startup, you're finding it difficult, to keep your head above water because of these things. You just want to confirm stuff in writing or confirm stuff in a contract, so you can plan around that. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Okay. Okay.
It is a difficult
The
position, I understand, but there's no quick fix because if you go at him hard, he might say, you know what, I'm not interested anymore, right?
Yeah. So for
So
me, I
you,
think
you need to have a little bit more firmer stance and not go hard, but tell him your situation and tell him you need a timeline and if he can be confirmed in writing.
yeah, so I've had that conversation. What you're suggesting now,
Okay.
I've already had that conversation, and he has indicated to me some of the challenges that they are dealing with. Unfortunately,
Okay.
they are in the oil and gas industry, so they
Oh,
are
okay.
also impacted by the political and the economic situations that occur both locally
Mhm.
as well as internationally,
Sure.
because they also work with international oil companies, and anything that happens in the Middle East impacts them as well. So I can understand those
Mhm.
dynamics. I think where I'm tripping, Selvin,
Mhm.
is I have the gift of the gab,
Yeah.
and I have the gift of being able to because I come from a corporate background. I
Okay.
used to do stakeholder management and engagement.
Okay.
So I
Well,
know how to handle stakeholders and create a rapport that I'm good at, which is why
that's a very, yeah,
he's
it's
asked for
good
this
skills.
meeting
Yeah.
for
Mm.
tomorrow. Yeah. I think where I'm tripping now is I've done all these things. So tomorrow I'm assuming it's more of a meet and greet because we haven't met in person.
Okay.
It's a meet and greet, kind of trying to solidify the rapport, but
Mhm.
he also wants to understand where things are for me thus far. Because I've been able to secure another investor, but that
Yeah.
investment that I've secured is not enough to get me into full operation. So his contract is very important to me.
Yes.
I'm just really I'm just stuck. I feel like I'm stuck on how do I get to the contract? Because as you say, I need that contract because letters of intent don't really hold much water.
Great. Yeah.
Yes, they're great for certain financiers like the NEF. The NEF might say, oh, okay, letter of intent is great, but for me, it's not good enough because it's not a contract. Because I need a contract so that I can then get financing against that contract if I need to be financed immediately. So how do I move now from where, having done all these things, as you say, you know, provide context into your situation, be a little bit more assertive. I've done that, and I think I've done that with great care because the relationship is going well to the point where they are willing to, because they're relocating premises for their business from Pretoria,
Okay.
and they're looking at Waterfall City. And
Right.
I said, they asked me where I was considering to be established, and I said to them, I want to be based in the Fourways area because I found warehouses in the Riversands outlet park, and that's
Yeah.
perfect for my production studios, right? They had suggested that I consider taking office space within their premises. So if they go out and lease an entire section within a building, what they would be keen on for me to do is to take up space in one of their areas, right? Which is great. But that office space is not conducive for what I need to be doing from a production point of view.
Yeah.
So this is just to show you that the relationship aspect is growing and it's being established even more and more, and it's great. We're at a great place. I just want the contract. I just want this guy and his executives to actually give me this contract now because
Yeah.
I've done everything
As
else.
I said, there's nothing you can for you to force the issue. So it all depends on that person's personality, right? He either might appreciate your honesty, your saying, no, I need a contract, I need to sign now, or he might be offended by it. So you have that relationship with these people, and if you're engaging with him tomorrow, or whenever it is, I think you said tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. I really don't
It's
know
to
what to
have
say
have
tomorrow.
that feel to build on that relationship before you're putting you're saying, I need to have a contract, but have a frank discussion with him. Tell him that you need this contract and you need it ASAP, and see how what it is, and then but just don't be if we don't have a contract by tomorrow, I'm gonna call it quits. Just have an open and
That's
frank
not my
discussion with him.
style. Yeah.
No, that's that's not the way to go about it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's not much I can say or do on that. It's all
Okay.
about clear communications. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Selvin, indeed. But it's also, I think as entrepreneurs, we need to have an ability to do our best, but also know when we have done our best, and that's the end of it. How the world is going to respond sometimes is not within our control. And we also cannot control how the outcome, how things will actually turn out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Selvin, for that. Mafisa, please come through. And then there was another hand.
Yeah, I saw Hughes again. I'm not sure if they are
They are back.
they're back.
I am right
But
here. I keep on being circled and
okay.
circled.
Yeah, okay.
It's fine
Great.
because
No, yeah. Let's go with
speaking communication.
Hughes. Right.
No problem. We keep on missing you. It's almost like you appear and then you disappear, and then we don't see and say we pass you. So please go ahead, and then Mafisa will be next. Thank you so much.
I've been listening to most of the conversations that are going on, and obviously in respect of whoever has, the platform, communication is very key. And your customer service and your company, as we establish our businesses, has policies on communication, turnaround times for communication. I
Yes.
know we're dealing with the young and the old and, dinosaurs and whatever you want to call them, as they would
Baby
want to
boomers.
call. Exactly. But these are very informative people that we need. Old school never dies because they give us guidance, they give us structure, they give us so much more about who we are and who we should be. Because as youngsters, everybody wants to push. We be like falling over ourselves, as listening to Leander. We give ourselves pressure, heart attacks over things that we should breathe. We've done our homework. We've prepared to the best of our abilities. And whichever God that we pray to, we pray and we trust and we have that faith. So when we step into a boardroom, we step into the boardroom with that. Especially when you come from a corporate background, when you come from a working background where you are groomed into communication, it is a plus. I can understand what we would relate as blue collar, like, hard labor kind of thing that does not sit in the boardrooms and whatever, everywhere. But at some point you have that introduction. So communication is normally your 24 hours. If we don't get communication within 24 hours, as you were saying, what you call about wait on the person to, or, tell them, give them a day, give them some time in case they are busy. So it's either, could you let me know what's your turnaround communication time, so that my email, I do not send you another email upon another email. And also you yourself, when you're going to bombard somebody with communication in any form, you are creating a dislike for that person to start saying you are annoying. So these are the things that we take into account. Whether we communicate in person normally adds a plus to everything. But obviously, because we're dealing with people nationally and internationally, we then do not have that opportunity. You're either sitting on Google Meeting, or you're sitting on Zoom or Teams, whatever it is that you use for communication. Just the respect of everybody else and what you do, but do the homework so then you do not shoot yourself in the foot as this professional or wannabe or working your way up, because we all in a place where we need to learn. We need to put that communication, your policies definitely govern. You yourself must term that I've had this communication with you right now, so I will give you a breather, and in a day or two, if I haven't heard anything, I will follow up. But and also the WhatsApp thing, I heard you saying that you are more emails person. Yes, I was more emails person, but I've also diversified, balancing the two, but in a way that it's manageable, so that I also don't create a lot of misleading communication, because sometimes what you say in your WhatsApp, it's not communicated the same as your email. Now you need to create that trail of communication to say, okay, we spoke now 5 minutes ago, so I need not send the email. When I do send the email, I will say, including our call, our chats on WhatsApp, and including our in-person meeting. So all of that, so then at least we know we're concluding everything. There's nothing left out, especially when we're negotiating something, because then we may lose the contract due to the fact that you said to me, you require me to send you a particular document, and in between all the communication that I have forgotten, or I misread, or I just I scan, read my emails and stuff like that, look for what's important. Sometimes I miss what's important. And then there I find myself with none of that. I guess my just comment is just applying yourself and teaching yourself the calmness to breathe in all of the excitement, and level yourself so that your communication goes out very well with everything, and compliments you, should I say, in whatever that you are doing. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mafisa, please come through.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Or same was almost early
Yes,
evening now. Yeah.
Okay, all right. My name is Buseleto Mafisa. I'm from Orange Farm, south of Johannesburg. I run a very small company which is registered, entities registered as Mafisa Tech Affiliate, P2I Ltd. I run a very small digital printing firm. So, but here in this group fund, I'm here to learn, how to, because I got this idea of developing a chatbot, an e-commerce chatbot. So what compels me?
E-commerce chatbot.
Chatbot, yeah, chatbot. It's a chatbot which is gonna like a chat. You know chatbot. What's a chatbot, right?
Oh, a chatbot. Sorry. I misunderstood you.
Yes.
Chatbot. Yes, sir.
Yes. So I want to develop a chatbot whereby it's gonna act as an intermediator between buyers and sellers. My problem that is I'm focusing on is about the township businesses. In townships, we've got this problem of most of us are running our businesses in a traditional way. So we not mostly on a digital platform. Even though we come on board on digital platform, we still don't know how to to get those customers, because I believe that each and every business is about getting a customer so that they can sell their services or stuff. So the chatbot, in short, is about as an intermediary, it is to take orders on behalf of businesses that are selling stuff and speak with the customers. That's all about that. So with this idea, I've made a little bit of research about if it's going to be possible to do something like that. Then the advices that I got is, yes, it's possible to do something like that. And even the features that is going to have, the chatbot, the features that is going to have is so simple. Like when I'm sitting at home, then I'm lazy to go to the market to buy some veg, let me say, for an example, to buy some fruit or veg, then I can be able to request those veggies to come and be delivered into my place, you see.
Okay. So, can we try also to come back to today's topic, please?
Yes, I'm there, ma'am. So I'm just like to have an advice of should I go on with a business idea like this? This is what I wanted to get out of from Mr. Selvin. If I can be able to put all of my energy into something like this, because it's an idea of which I believe I can develop and make it happen.
Okay, so with all different various chatbots, right? So there's one where there's automated responses where you put in one and you'll see what's the one in the background and give you a response. There's also a chatbot with intelligent agents in it. So it will read whatever the customer puts in, it'll put into a natural language processing algorithms to see what the person wants, and then deciphers what it wants, goes to the database, retrieves the information, and then send it off to your client. To build this takes time, right? To find out all the different possibilities, right? So your model, this reminds me of a story I think I came across a couple months ago, where some people in India also had an an idea, but I don't think it was chatbot based. But so all the farms in India, like all far apart. So by the time they have to know the bulk of the what crop they are going to sell at what time. So when they cut it, it's still fresh. Okay. So there was no, how can I say, community platform or e-commerce site to do this. So there was somebody that started this off, but they needed to collect the data first to see how people communicate, what they communicate, and the pricing and so on. So I think they created a very simple WhatsApp, because I get WhatsApp stores. So a farmer will put in and say, I have X amount of stock, and I'm selling it at this price. They'll go onto the board, and the buyer will say, hey, I want this at this price, either deliver or I'm going to come pick up, So the model that you have can work, but you also need to know the resources, right? That your customer base can handle, right? If they are not tech savvy, then the chatbot won't mean anything to them. You need to train them somehow or give them some type of training so they understand the technology. Everybody understands WhatsApp. So perhaps you start up with a WhatsApp and then implement a chatbot because you're getting data on how people communicate and things. So the chatbot, or when you're building your AI model, right, it has data to create algorithms for your model to work on. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yes, it helps. So what I like to know is, if somebody came to you, let me say you were an investor and pitched something like this to you, were you going to be able to invest on it?
Yeah. So you need to do some research. You need to go to like whoever's in your community and tell them, you know what, I have this platform. We can even build a quick WhatsApp platform and get a few buyers on it, and try it out within that area. And then now, if people are buying and selling, you almost have a proof of concept. You see, and then you can take that into investors. Say, you know what, I need to scale this. All right, it's all about satisfying a need, right? And you need to find that investor that sees that opportunity and is willing to invest in your product, right? So I can't think of who said like Airbnb, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar company, right? When it started, right, I think there were college students that just wanted to sell a mattress, like an air mattress, to people that just needed a one-night stay, right? And when they took this concept to investors, nobody wanted to invest in it. Nobody. But look at it now. Okay. So they had the proof of concept, and eventually they grew. I think Airbnb is like the biggest, one of the biggest, I won't say hotels, but accommodation people, but they do not own a single piece of property. Right? Same thing with Uber. Right? They perform taxi services, but they do not own a taxi. Right? So if you are doing this, go into the community, say, if there was this platform, would you use it? I'm not sure if you have any tech guys. Create a small thing in your community, and then see how the buying and the selling works, and then you have a proof of concept, and then you can go on to find more investors. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Selvin. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Already, I've done some little bit of research in my community, and even on
Hello?
even on this platform, I just intruded on some other participants here, and some of them they answered, and it seems like all of them they say yes. So I think it's something that I can keep on, working on it. Thank you for your advice.
Great. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yeah, thank you so much, Selvin, for that. However, Mafisa, I still need you to also know which LSM you are dealing with. South Africa environment is very diverse. So please focus on that. Be clear which LSM you are targeting for which problem, and can that LSM be able to use and afford your platform? And also what is the alternative they currently are using? I kind of feel you have asked us also about the problem, but we also don't know where your location is, where you will actually work with this community, because your solution is community based. So just be careful about that, though, so that you don't get a yes from a wrong WhatsApp group, then a yes from a correct WhatsApp group, because of the LSM. Especially in this program, we have people in Cape Town, we have people in Joburg, KZN, throughout the country. So, but at least it has given you an idea, and we're all in different LSMs. So yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Salvan. You are quite good on answering the question. Guys, can I take more question on the items and just in generally on what is it that you would like to know? But then we also need to put some time aside to understand what Profit Share Partners is about. I started getting their newsletter 3-4 years ago. So I'm just, when you guys got that big SME fund, I was like rooting for you guys.
Oh, thank you so much.
So,
Yeah, as I said, that it takes a long time for investors to come on board, and but eventually they saw our potential.
yeah, I though also saw you guys quite focusing on the working capital than long-term investment, and maybe also just share what made you guys to now focus your strategy on that, because previously that was not your approach. I also love your partnership you have with SME, small business chamber. So yeah, so thank you for that. It seemed to me you guys are really looking at working in the ecosystem, and that we appreciate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I said, I was also a SME at one point. Unfortunately, my business failed because of that economic crisis in 2008. So I understand some of the pain points that SMEs go through, right? So this is where also my CEO, Andrew Marin, saw the need. At that time, I think we termed it growth finance, right? So an SME will have, for example, like a purchase order from a large corporate or government entity, right? So just to put it in picture, we'll do any capital amount from 250 up to 5 million. Okay, 10 million if it's really a good project, right? So now if an SME has a purchase order, right? Like say, for example, from MTN, right? So the reason why we stipulate large corporates, because we know that they will pay, right? And certain government entities. I won't say all of them, okay? So that is like, for example, your security, that you are going to receive payment from that large corporate, right? So now if you go to the bank, right, a traditional bank will ask, okay, fine, how long have you been in business for? Right? You'll say, no, I just opened up this month. So they will immediately say no. They will decline your deal. So the reason why banks do this, because they don't have a transactional history to see that you can afford to pay back this loan. Okay? Because remember, financial institutions are regulated by the National Credit Act. For you to have a loan, you must be able to service this loan. And if you're able to service this loan, you have to prove affordability. And so you need at least a year to 2 years of trading history to see the incoming, revenues that you have to service those funds. So what Andrew and I did, I think we started off like meeting once in a while in the slow lounge, bashing out this model for about 6 months before we actually got somebody to give us some small money to start lending. Right. So we figured out if a person is definitely going to get payment, why would they need to have to give them a loan? So instead of giving them a long-term loan, right, we are going to partner in the profit of the transaction with the client, hence profit share partners. So for example, let's say that you have R1 million, a purchase order with MTN to supply laptops. And this the capital you need to deliver on this contract is 700,000 rand. Okay. We will provide the full 700,000 rand for 100% of the capital, with you just opening up your company in the same month. And this is your first transaction. So you can deliver on this purchase order, invoice, and get paid, right? So our typical funding is short-term, 30, 60, 90 days, because that's when we receive payment. So when the payment comes into an escrow account that we'll open up for you, we will take what's owed to us as per the quote. We won't do anything unless you sign and accept our quotes and contracts. And you can clearly see what your share is going to be and what our share is going to be. And we take that, and then we take our share, you take your share, and that's the end of the transaction. You're not tied up with us for that 700,000 rand, earning interest upon interest for the next year. Okay. And you can use us as many times as you want, once, twice, 3 times. Think of us as like the rich uncle that you need. Hey, I just need money for this PO. Please fund me. Sure, no problem. So what this enables for the SME is to grow. Now, imagine if you didn't have that lane for funding, you are never going to grow. The economy is not going to grow, right? The unemployment rate is not going to reduce. Okay, so we see the potentials of SMEs. If we fund them, we're just not helping the SME grow. We're helping the South African economy grow, because you will start paying taxes, right? Those taxes help build schools and hospitals and whatever it is, right? And then if you go to a certain point, you probably need to hire somebody, either do sales or marketing or handle your finances. Okay, so we saw that opportunity, I think about 6, 7 years ago. Well, I think 8 years ago when we first started this model with another company, and then Andrew opened up Profit Share Partners 2 years later. So that's what our model is about. It's about profit sharing, and so we don't charge an interest. So you're not paying interest upon interest upon interest. Okay, that's a quick, easy buy, refund, you deliver, pay. That's it. And then if you want to carry on with us, you can. So that's the model we started off with. And then SME started saying, can you do asset funding, right? So that all depends on the contract. So we can do up to a year, maybe 5, if the income streams will be able to service, how can I say, that loan, that monthly loan, all right? So obviously that's a longer term, so you have to make sure everything is viable and that machine is generating enough income for you to service those facilities, all right? Is there any questions in case somebody wants to ask me quickly?
I don't see any hand. Entrepreneurs, do you have any questions? Okay, I will start with Fatima and then Mr. Williams. Fatima,
Hi, Selvin, Fatima here. My company is called Corpchem. I manufacture chemicals. I supply PPE and janitorial products. So my thing is that I mean we at that stage now. We are scaling and we need. I'm based in Cape Town. One of my big clients is the My City bus company in Cape Town. So we need equipment, and how I looked at things was initially I wanted to go for like a big loan type of thing to help us to spend or buy the equipment that we need. However, I then re-looked at things, and I'm seeing that maybe if I do it in stages. So like stage one, I get certain key equipment, and because I said we haven't scratched the surface of what we are able to do, I'm actually busy speaking to Pick n Pay now as well. Yeah, in Cape Town, where they're asking us for pricing and things for the establishment, not as a to supply our products to them in their store per se, but it's for the cleaning and stuff like
for
that.
their staff, right?
Yes, yes. So I just wanted to ask, how would you suggest? Would it be a good idea to do it in sort of stages so that we can get to that where we have all the equipment, or buy everything at one stage? Because we also, I'm looking at having some of my products certified in terms of SANS and the SAPS.
That's good.
Because
Nice.
it is a requirement, for some of the places.
That's good. That's a very difficult question to answer without actually seeing any financial details and your gearing factors and so on, right? But it all depends. You can find out how much you need, right? And find out what the monthly repayments are going to be, and see if you'll be able to service it, right? Because if you scale up full, right, that enables you to manufacture more, right? And it'll cover all of your OPEX at the same time, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you do it small and small, you are limiting yourself to production amount, right? So that's a con. But the pro is that if you do it small, little by little bit, you'll be able to afford that, and you won't have to put put a lot of capital in. How can I say? Financing a big amount, right?
Yes.
Because if you do it small, then a portion of it will go to your next machine, a portion will go back to funding. Who knows? That if you manage it correctly, you can buy the next machine cash yourself without actually funding it.
Yes.
So all I can say is that you need to do your homework, right? Say if you get one machine now, what profits I can make that can go towards the cash flow or the funding amount of that. Or you can say, in the next year, I'm going to work with one machine. X amount is going to go into a pot, right? An investment account. And you don't need, it may not be enough to buy the second machine, but now you actually have a nice big deposit.
Yes, yes.
You see, so not instead of funding 100% or 90% of the machine, now you only have to fund 50%, and you can pay it off faster, and then buy the third machine or fourth machine. Or you just have to go one big lump, buy it off, and then in the next 5 years or however long the facility is, you have to make sure that you pay those monthly costs for it. So it's something that you have to work on, a business plan, a cash flow for that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you so much. May we then
I thought, what happened to Williams? I think he disappeared.
Yes, he did disappear.
Oh, okay.
I think we lost him. Either connection, I think there's load shedding also in other areas now.
Ah, yeah, load shedding.
May we have Njabul and then Luyanda? Njabul?
Hi, Southern, how are you?
Good yourself.
I'm good, thank you. Just a two-part questions in terms of your PO funding.
Yes,
You mentioned that it's only a few government departments that you
correct.
prefer working with.
Yes.
But do you have maybe, is there a way for me to get a list of those departments? And also,
That's mainly the credit team. They will have a list, but I think it's mainly the big guys, the big municipalities, the big metros, and I think certain provincial and national governments. So, but you can always go online and apply, at profitsharepartners.com, right? Go through the application process and the credit guys will tell you, or I think our contact details are on there and just say, what, do you fund POs against this municipality? Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have that list
okay,
at the moment. Okay. Sorry.
And then my second question was going to be, is there a limit and what's the time frame of payment?
Okay.
And just
Yes. Yeah.
as closing, do you arrange it in a way where you pay my suppliers and then my client pays you, and then between me, my company, and you guys, and then you give me what's left of our agreement, or does the money come to me and then my
Yeah.
client pays?
Yeah, I think you got the idea there already. So yes, our minimum funding amount, right, is 250,000 rand. So it's not the pure value, but the amount that you need to pay to your suppliers. So it's 250 to about 5 million. We can do 10, right, depending on the deal structure and if it's viable. And yes, you are correct. We will pay the supplier directly. So you'll give us your supplier details, what you're supplying. We'll also do some research on them, some vetting, and we'll pay them directly so they can deliver the goods to your customers or customer. And your customer will pay into an escrow account that we will open up in your company name, right? But we will have the admin rights. So once the money comes in, we will take what's owed to us as per the quotes that we sent to you, as per the contract, and we will give you the balance.
Okay.
Okay? Good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Just needed to understand the
No
terms of
worries.
operation and which municipalities you
Yeah.
do not work with.
Just to bear in mind also, we tend to stay away from high performance, how can I say, contracts, okay? For example, like construction, So that's mainly because many things can go wrong. For example, strikes or the weather, and there's a very low margin in it. Okay, so if you don't build the wall straight or you're using poor materials, that means your customer won't pay you, which means that our funds are out longer, and then it'll cost you more. So we tend to stay away from high performance stuff. If you're manufacturing, it all depends how long you've been manufacturing the product, and we'll do some homework before we say yes.
Okay, no. And then you said your repayment terms, because normally with
Oh
government,
yeah, sorry, yeah. So repayment terms is the length of the payment, your customer's payment. So if your customer is going to pay you within 30 days, well, technically that's what your payment term should be, right?
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
So we will allow like 45 days or something, just in case, depending on like when the last day of the month was, you might have to go into the new month. So we do have a little bit of a leeway, but obviously it's priced, according to that. So if you fall within a certain, a certain date, a certain term, then you will know what you will have to pay us. If you like go into the 45-day or the 60-day term, you'll be able to see. what the profit share split is. It will also motivate you to say, pay me in 30 days. You know,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
it saves you money. Yeah, right. No problem. Okay. Luyanda.
Hi, Salvin.
Hey.
Thanks for taking me. So I was trying to ask about the contract financing earlier.
Yeah.
Now I understand how it works traditionally. In the case, like for instance, with what I had been talking about earlier, I'm trying to secure a contract. So in that regard, I understand how it works. I think where I would like to get a better sense from you guys is there flexibility around contracts of a different nature, in the sense that I have this investor that I've secured, and I've secured them contractually. So they're supposed to be giving me a recurring working capital. Now, I'm supposed to get the terms of how frequent the capital will be paid, right?
Okay.
But my issue is that the finance itself, the money itself, is not enough for me to operate optimally. So I wanted to know whether or not there's flexibility within your company to consider different types of contracts, such as an investor contract, as opposed to a customer contract. So in other words, would I, for example, be able to purchase equipment and instead apply for asset finance from you guys, and then use my investor contract to pay off my asset loan? My equipment.
Yeah. So remember, your equipment is kind of like your assets, right? Long as there is a contract that we are happy with, and you tell us who you need to pay it and stuff, and we can see a like a cash flow. Excuse me. Sorry, my throat is getting a bit dry there. So yeah, so long as there's some type of cash flow, we can work with something, right? We try not to say no, okay? If we do not understand something, our credit guys will always fall, right? We don't say, oh, this deal, no, it doesn't make sense. We're going to decline it. Our mission is to help SMEs grow, right? And sometimes an SME might not understand the application process, or they might put in incorrect details. So our first objective is always to call the SME and say, you know what, thank you for your application, but we don't understand, understand this. So by them talking to you, they can figure out, yes, we can do this, or they require more information, or they'll take it to our investment committee to say, you know what, it's not exactly what we do, but I think we can do it if we do these things. So we'll always find a way to mitigate risk so we can help the SME. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll look into that. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else?
Doesn't seem so.
Sorry. Yeah. So I just want to say, if you guys want to know more information about the company, you just have to go to profitsharepartners.com, and you can ask us any questions that you want to there. Okay.
Yes, and they are quite active also on the social media, all the most employees within ProfitShare. And also, they subscribe to their newsletter. They will share some ideas and stuff. That you have good articles also. They sponsor, as I said, Small Business Chamber for those that are interested to that network. Okay, entrepreneurs, if we're done for today, I would just want to say thank you so much, Salvin. This was so insightful.
That I could help.
Absolutely. And we're excited about this program. It's our first pilot. We're going to then start working on what we are learning. We actually started with a group of about 100 We're now on about 60 something. So today we had about 37 people that attended. So we still have a good retention in terms of training because this is online.
That's good.
Yes. So, and
Very
we're
good.
also using this to then one day provide you with some leads. And
Oh,
we
perfect. Yeah.
absolutely, yes, because we are advocating for entrepreneurs to assess the funds when they are stuck instead of them losing money. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad I could be of some assistance. All right. Great. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Take care.
Bye. Entrepreneurs,
Bye.
we're gonna have, I had few notes, but I also wanted to hear from you. How did you find the material? But also how what you have learned today that was shared by Selvin now relate to you going back to the drawing board. I also would like for those of you that have been benefiting from this program to actually give me some sort of testimonials if they are there, please, because we need to go to the market to now start. We're gonna review the program, obviously, but we're also gonna start raising capital for the next group or for the next 4 groups. And some of you have ran away from me, like Fatima. You were supposed to come back to me with the analysis of the sales. Pindile, I still owe you the meeting, but please talk to the team like Tsakane to organize the meeting for you. And please, let's talk, entrepreneurs. This is your program, it's not Precious's program. Thank you. How did you find the session with Sisnomvula in the feedback of the business plans? And are you improving your business plan? Because I'm gonna look at the final one. Ooh, everyone is quiet. Kosian.
Precious.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, some of them
Please repeat
I'm
the
still
question.
studying. Yeah, but anything is going, we are learning. So I hope by Friday I will have the good business plan and pitching, preparing for the pitch by Friday. I will review it and send it again.
Okay. So I think then those who still need to meet with Mamunomvula, please schedule your time. You must have gone through and reviewed a business plan before the pitching time. Pitching time, follow the template and also the executive summary that I shared with you last week. I am planning to get few funders. The challenge that I have to come, like what we had today with Solvent, the challenge that I have, some of you have not shared with me the funders that have rejected you and the funders that you have shortlisted after having gone through this process, so that they're the one who are listening to your pitch. It's really being difficult because I can't use my list. Remember, this program is about you. As much as I'm learning with you, it's mainly about you. So if you can share the list, I am planning to call IDC and send them the questions we have, including writing up, even up to the CICP and the minister on the issue that we raised last week. But I would like also, even when I send that letter, I want it to be a petition. I want to do it the right way, where I have everyone's signature and confirming what you guys are saying in being requested to produce audited financial statement when the Companies Act does not require that. I want to really take them on hand, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it the right way. I would also use some of the platforms within my relationship I have in the ministry and see how we can facilitate that. So I don't know, I've never done a petition before. I'm gonna find out. Is there someone who has done a petition here? Maybe that can help, please. If there's anyone who would like to volunteer, please. And I'm gonna try to go to the market also and find if there is people. But I need you guys to commit to this all the way through. And where you have references, share the reference of your application being rejected because of that reason. Because I really wanted to put them on the spot and hold them accountable. Now, I have Fatima and I have Leander. Fatima, please go ahead, my dear.
Sorry about that, Precious. So my session went well. You know, this program is really for me enlightened me a lot more. Like I said, I think we think we know, but we actually don't know. There's a lot of gaps in what we need to understand around this funding process. But what's coming for me, the challenge that I'm having is I have a judgment on my name, and you know, it's actually such a very stupid thing that I did. You know, I let somebody use a car in my time when I came through to Cape Town to stay here. And then when I asked the guy for the car, the engine seized, you know, when I came to Cape Town, and he went and he put in a new engine. And then when I said to him, I did forewarn him that, you know, I have to give the car back to the bank, because I first needed to also understand how long will it take me to sort of find my feet here in Cape Town. And it wasn't a very fast, you know, I didn't start picking up the dollars and things like that. It's like I needed to pay my taxes first and understand what the market wanted from me. So in that time, the bank wanted the car back. And then when I asked the guy for the car, and so he said, look, I'll have the engine removed and put back the old engine. But then, like a couple of days later, because now I'm waiting for him to respond on when I can notify the bank on the car, he came back, he says, no, the scrapyard that he took the car to, they crushed the car, you know, that with a compact, they crushed the car. So there's no car now. And the thing is, I'm sitting with this debt on my name, and I'm not sure how to deal with it.
Oh my word.
Yeah. It was somebody in the church.
That is so bizarre.
Yes.
Okay, so did you ask him to actually put something in writing to that effect and go to the police station for you?
Yeah, I think I was thinking that I must go report the car stolen, but I never, I mean, he's the one that messed up with the car. So I have to, because I was feeling sorry for the guy as well. You know, he's a pastor in the church.
Oh, Fatima, hang on. My question is, that incident, what happened? Did he go, because that is property disruption. I don't know the word.
Yes,
it's just escaping me. But did he go to the police to have some sort of affidavit to then allow you to report the matter to the insurance, then get the insurance to decide on how to deal with it?
Yes.
Or somebody to decide on how to do it, anybody, or even the bank, because you can't go to the bank with nothing on your hands.
Yes. Yeah, and the thing is, because you know, inevitably they're going to hold me accountable and responsible for the vehicle because it was in my name, you know, and so, but I need to get hold of the pastor so that I will take that as a first step to say, listen, you need to give me something in writing to say that this is what happened to the car, you know.
Yes, he needs to give you something in writing. That is what happened to the car. and such must be signed off in front of the commissioner.
Yes.
He can't just write a letter and that's the end of it. It has to be in front of the commissioner. That is step number one. Step number two, it's also then, I'm sure that if the car was still owned by the bank, it will have been insured. You then need to take that statement and send it to your insurance and say, this is what has happened. Is there something that can be done about the situation? How long was this issue, Fatima?
It is since I'm here in Cape Town, which is 5 years. The thing is, I really like, I didn't want to get the guy into trouble, but I'm looking at it and I'm saying that my name is impacted. It has been impacted. I don't have clothing debt. I don't have the debt that I do have on my name right now is from my business, but I don't have personal debt on my name. And the car was a personal.
Let's take this offline. I'm of a view that if it's 5 years, forget it. It's already prescribed. This debt is already prescribed. However, ABSA has alternative funding where even if you are listed, they can still, we are blacklisted, they can actually, as long as you're declaring and you are transparent as to what transpired. But I'm of a view that you're supposed to have been paying this thing, Fatima, because you don't take responsibility for it, that you, as a result, you didn't even report it. So I would like you to go back to your financier, which is the bank, tell them what happened and tell them that because of the time that has elapsed, we'd like to have an arrangement, even if it's to pay just 3,000 Rand a month, Fatima, that's okay. Please do that. And then now you will have an arrangement in place, which they then agree on. And then you tell them that on that note, after 12 months of you continuously paying, you would like them also to then remove you from the list.
Okay, I'll do that.
I need to prove to them that you actually are rehabilitating yourself, because I don't know, 5 years, my dear, that's a long time.
I don't know. I think sometimes we hope that things can just go away. Like,
no, you know, there's that thing in Zulu that they say, and that's where they say, "Iskoletu asboli," you know, meaning that a dad does not get rotten.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Precious.
Sure. Leander?
Hi, Precious. I just wanted to give you a quick update following the conversation we had last week in last week's session. So I did pitch to IDC today. I'm just thinking about this petition that you were talking about now. So I did pitch to them today. They said to me that they would give me feedback by Friday. In today's session, it was a one-on-one for ITC to understand exactly what I'm trying to apply for and all of that. So I took the gentleman through my business and what specifically I'm applying for, but just to give him a sense of the overall business of how I'm going to be able to service their debt, right? So I'm going to get feedback on Friday. So I wanted to just find out from you if I can give you guys feedback on the outcome. I don't know where I'm leaning at this stage, because I can't say the pitch went well or went bad. I honestly do not know, because the representative that I spoke to said that he was then going to meet with his team tomorrow, which is when they're going to be giving me feedback. Bearing in mind that my application has been with them for quite some time now, but I have been following up and trying to get their attention so that they can give me feedback of some sort, you know. So I just wanted to find out if I can maybe reach out to you to let you know what the story there is. Of course, I'm hoping for the best, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, great. Good luck to you. We are really saying we hope all goes well. yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, but I think you are prepared. We just need to make sure that you have the right support. And I was actually even thinking the other day that the Department of Arts and Culture has some grants. Please consider looking into their grants. Try to see, based on their requirements, how do you craft your proposals to suit their needs. Right now, that is one maybe platform that we have not considered when me and you were talking. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I see someone is saying that, I think it's Paul, yes, maybe first you must consider looking at the prescribed debt. So a prescription of a debt does not necessarily affect you if you're already blacklisted. When you're blacklisted, it means you still are responsible. The debt might have been written off on the books of that person and also, but she will need to be removed from the blacklisting. And it's more likely that they're not gonna remove her name on the blacklisting if she has not made attempt to resolve the matter. Okay, guys, anyone else? Okay, it's 6 o'clock now. It's 6 o'clock now. Thank you so much for your time. I will communicate with you direct. Call, submit your business plan and meet with Mrs. Nomvula. I want to see business plan that she has already gone through so that I don't need to go through the basics. Thank you so much. And Paul, everyone else, Kulego Nomvula, Martha, Pule, Enoch, Lindy, Njabulo, Nelson, thank you so much. Kabi, goodbye. Prudence, I owe you, girl. I've been so busy, but I'm getting better next week. So let us talk possible next week. I'm just got way too much on my table now, and I didn't want to just rush our meeting. But if you have the business model that you want me to have a look, Prudence, let's talk. Great. Thank you so much, guys. Bye. Lots of love. Keep on working. Okay.
Okay, thanks. Bye.